Is Gemara in Yevamos Daf Nun Dalid. All learning has been generously sponsored as Chos Ili Nishama v'Chaim Mordechai ben Naftali Tzvi. And there Tashem, the learning the entire Chabura should bring Chaim Mordechai ben Naftali Tzvi to an higher in place in Gan Eden Shel Maila. As well as all the learning should be as Choshelach V'Zor Chaim Devar Tam Sivu Bas Perah Choshem ben Chayov V'Ik Ben Teli Shom Nebi Zavav Glum Yudis Basim Malka. As well as Chos Ruach Shem Shel Yos V'Eni Vredish Vom Tilo Dam Tzal Zimach Les and Chom Bas Vivas Ar Blum Bas Mendel Chaim Moshe ben Malka V'Shaveu Shirchana V'Soich Shar Chayli Yisrael. We're holding on the top of Nun Dalid Amid Aleph. We are 5 lines down. It is Erev Rosh Chodesh. If anyone would like to partner, grab the schos of spreading Baruch Hashem many hours of Torah, please reach out. It would be my absolute pleasure in sharing the schos. And we're picking up 5 lines down. Shneim Anusim. We're middle going through all the different various cases in the Mishnah, in which the Mishnah mentioned that every form of bia has 2 applications, we could call it. Number 1, your kind of a yevama, a yibam works in any form of bia, and we listed ratzon, shoygig, oines, 1 ratzon, 1 shoygig, 1 oines, and secondly, any form of forbidden arayis as well is forbidden with any form of erva. So today we pick it up over here on the top of Nun Daled Amud Aleph, which the Gemara asks, Shneim Anusin Tvei Rav Chia Echidami. What is the case of Shneim Anusim? We finished off yesterday discussing what is the case of 1 anus, when one of them is forced. Now, what is the case where they're both forced? Explains the Gemara, the man has kavana, has das, that he thinks he's sleeping with his own wife, and a guy comes, and pushes him together with the Yevama. So the case of 1 oines was when he has kavanah for his wife, and then the Yevama jumps in. So in that case, only he, the man, is ba'oines. The Yevama, she is beratzah, and she's doing it willingly. Here is the case where they're both ba'oines, that he thinks it's his wife, and then a guy comes and shoves the Yevama in. So they're both a case of ba'oines. Uba'aleh, and they sleep together. Ask the Gemara minna hani mili, and this is a question that's going to take us for the greater part of today. Where do we know this halacha? This halacha that every form of bia, ratzin, shayig, mezid, oines, all have a din bia, are considered tashmish with regard to the fact that they could be kaina or yavama. Says the Gemara, Titana Rabbana, we learned in a rice. Yavama yavayalao mitzvah. Says the Torah, Yevama, the Yevama Yavayaleh, you should sleep with her. Mitzvah, that teaches us that Yibum is a mitzvah. We spoke about this already, that Yibum is either the preferred mitzvah over Chalitza, or Yibum is only with the right intentions. Davar Acher says the Gemara Yevama Yavayaleh. It says another drasha, the Yevama Yavayaleh, from the wording of the pasuk that you should be together indicates that it's all forms of Yavayaleh, all forms of being together, whether it is b'shogig or b'mezid, bein ba'oines, bein b'ratzin, or whether it's coerced or whether it's willing. Ask the Gemara the obvious kasha. You just use 2 psukim for the same drasha. The pasuk taught us Yevama Yavayaleh mitzvah. Yevama Yavayaleh, any form of bia. Ask the Gemara, v'afik the mitzvah. We already used the pasuk to teach the mitzvah. How can you tell me that the same pasuk is teaching me something else? Answers the Gemara, the fact that it's a mitzvah really we learn out from a different pasuk. The pasuk says if you don't want to take her as a wife, then you could do chalitza. The obvious implication being hachafetz, if you would like yavam, babe, you should do yibum. Chiyasa kra. So therefore, why don't we use the pasuk of yavama yavayaleh? Bein b'shoygeg, bein b'mezid, bein b'oines, bein b'ratzain. So step number 1, says the Gemara, as we learn it out from the pasuk of Yevama Yavayaleh. Tanida. Now we have a second brace. Yevama Yavayaleh, you know what it teaches us? Kedarka. That refers to if they had relations in the normal manner. V'lacha, then the pasuk continues and says you should take her shaloi kedarka. That refers to if they had relations in an unnatural manner from the back. V'yibim, and you perform yibum. And from there we learn now, Bia kayu meres ba, that Bia is that which completes, as we spoke about extensively, that Chalitza fully severs, Bia fully completes the marriage. The Ein Kesef Ishtar, Goyim Bra, and Kesef Ishtar do not affect the full marriage of Yevama. The Yibama, and the pasuk concludes, and it should be with her. Baal Karcha teaches us it could be against her will. So now we have a second drasha extending not only Ratzah and Shoygig Mezid Einis, but says the pasuk, whether it's Kedarka or Shalai Kedarka, whether it's relations in the normal manner from the front by Makum of the Isha, or whether it's Shalai Kedarka in the back of the Isha. Davar Acher, says the Gemara, we have another way of learning these psukim. Ask the Gemara, you just made the same crime. This is now the third way we're using Yevama Yavayala. The first way we already said, no, it doesn't mean mitzvah. Mitzvah is from a different pasuk. Fine. So Yevama Yavayala teaches me Einis Ratz and Shaging Mesi. The second brisa said, Yevama Yavayala Kedarka. Ask the Gemara, but you already used the pasuk. Answers the Gemara, that we learn out, the fact that the bia can be done in a normal manner, we learn out from Hakim Achiv Sheim, that the whole purpose of Yibam is to establish the name of your brother, which only could happen if the Tashmish, the relations are done in a way that a child could be born, which of course is only bia. Kedarka, b'makom shemakim shem, in a way that could establish a name to produce a child. V'chi also kra, and therefore, when do we have the pasuk of Yevama Yavayaleha? So the end of part number 1 of today's shir is, how do we know Oynes Shoging Mezid Ratzin? Yevama Yavayaleha. How do we know Kedarka, Shaloi Kedarka? That we learn out from a different pasuk. That we learn out from Milahakim Shem, that you produce the name of the brother means it has to be relations that can produce a child. That's Kedarka. And the Imlo Yachleitz teaches us that it could be even, V'yibim teaches me, the word V'lacha teaches us Shalai Kedarkai. So now Gufa says the Gemara, let's go a little bit deeper. Omar Rav Yehuda says Rav Yehuda, Yashein Loi Kana B'Yivimta. This was a Braisa Memra, which we learned yesterday. It's really the top line of the Gemara if you want to look. Yashein Loi Kana B'Yivimta. We said if they have relations while they are sleeping, and we'll have to define what that means, you're not Kaina the Yavam. Why not? The pasuk says the Yavama Yava, her Yavam should be with her. And you have to have intent, kavana. And if you're sleeping, you cannot have kavana. Ask the Gemara 1 second. The Brisa says whether you're awake or sleeping, he is awake or sleeping, you could do evil. Answers the Gemara, it means whether she is awake or sleeping, but he has to be awake to have kavanah for the mitzvah. Ask the Gemara 1 second. A different brisa says, "Vatana bin arahu bin yashinu," whether he is awake or sleeping. Bin arahi bin yashinahi. So it's clear in the brisa that Yibam works even when both of them are sleeping. And that's a contradiction to that which Rav Yehuda taught us, that you need to be awake to have kavanah l'shem mitzvah. Answers the Gemara, which is a very classical teretz. Any time we have kashas about being awake or sleeping, we had this in the Gemara and Megillah already. We also had in the Chagiga and Psachim and Tainis. What's the case over here where he's dozing off? What does that mean? He's sleeping, but he's not sleeping. He's awake, but he's not awake. What does that mean? Dozing. What does that mean? When you call his name, he answers. However, but he's dozing off, and therefore he cannot answer with a svara. That's v'chimitkar, but when you remind him, it jolts his memory, midkar, he wakes up. So that's going to be the level of cognizance necessary, which we've learned is the same level necessary to hear the Megillah, etc. That's going to be the level of cognizance necessary to affect the Yibum, is that he's somewhat awake and somewhat sleeping, and therefore there's no contradiction to the price of Yud another price that he's awake or not. It's because he's awake and not, partially awake and partially not. Says the Gemara Gufa, we're 10 lines from the wide lines. First one line is Midkaru. Says the Gemara Gufa, let's delve a bit deeper into another statement from yesterday. Omar Rabba, and this was part of the reason when we read it fast yesterday, we're coming back to today. If the husband falls off on the roof, and we said he fell off while having a kisha, while having an erection, and then as he falls, he somehow falls into this Yevama, damages her on the way, but thereby also has relations acquiring her. And we learned, he has to pay her 4 types of damage, but you cannot effect an acquisition of Yevama in such a scenario. Says the Gemara, what are the 4 things that you're chayiv? The 4 main types of damage. Damage is nezek, tsar is the pain it caused, ripoy is unemployment, and sheves is unemployment, ripoy is the medical costs. Avol, you don't pay for a humiliation. Why not? The about embarrassing someone. The only way you could be obligated for embarrassing someone else is if you know what you're doing. And here, since the whole thing happened by him falling off a roof, therefore there will be no kavana, and therefore you will be pater from boishes. Amar Rava. Says Rava on a similar vein, if a yavam, another case of having a relations in a bit of a mistaken way. The yavam, while having a kisha in erection, has kavanah to push against the wall. And by mistake, the yavam was standing there, and boom, he had relations with her. He does not acquire. Fascinating case, unfortunately. Someone he has in mind to be together with an animal, bestiality. He's sleeping with an animal. And then by accident he went into his Yevama. Kana, he is Kana. Why? He had intent to have relations. So even though he didn't have intent to have relations with her, the fact that he had intent to have relations is enough to solidify that the act is called Kavana, and therefore he'll be Kana the Yevama. And that's the end of going through the Brisa from yesterday. But now the Mishnah taught us Echad Hama'ara. So far we explained that Shoygeg Nizid Oynis Ratzain. As well we explained, be a Kedarka, be a Shaloi Kedarka. That's 6 different ways to be kinda the Yavama. Now we're going into Echad Hama'ara. The Mishnah taught us that even if they just had Ha'ara, which is the beginning of the Tashmish, which we'll talk about more tomorrow, exactly what it is, but if the simplest definition is that the Aver doesn't go fully, it's not a full penetration, just a little bit inside, and therefore we learned in the Mishnah, that is enough, called the Biyah, that they will be kind of the Yavam. Comes along Ula, Amar Ula, Menayin La'ara Min HaTorah. Where do we know that midaraisa, if one has ha'ara, the beginning of tashmish, how do I know that that's considered a tashmish? With regard to what? With regard to A, you'll be kaina a yavama, and B, with all the arayas in the Mishnah, it's going to be forbidden. Says Ula Shenemar, says in the Torah in the first white line, Isha Dava. If a man sleeps with a woman in her affliction, which we'll see means while she's anida, v'gila es ervasa, and he's uncovered her erva, her nakedness, as mikaira ha'ara, he bared her mikar, her source. Mikan, from here we learn out, ha'ara min HaTorah, from the fact that the pasuk use ha'ara, teaches us that even if it's not a full tashmish, it's just ha'ara, the beginning, that's as well forbidden. Says the Gemara, wait, beautiful, but what was the pasuk talking about? Anida, the dava, ashkach anida. This only teaches me that this applies to anida. Sharayis minayin. How do we know that this as well applies to other arayis at the beginning of a tashmish is forbidden? V'chi, tema the obvious suggestion of minida. Learn it out from nida. Malanidish came atames bayala. Nida is very chomer. The nida makes the man tameh. If a man sleeps with a woman while she's an Ida, Rahman al-Islam will call it, he himself contracts Tuma. It's a very high level of Eira. So maybe we can learn out from there. Says Gemara, fine. Attempt number 2. Let's learn out from one's brother's wife. Concise says in the Torah in the 4th white line, if a man sleeps with his brother's wife, she is an Ida. What does that mean? She's an Ida. What do you mean? Sometimes she's an Ida and sometimes not. So what does the pasuk mean to say that she is a Nida, labeling her, she is a Nida? Ella, you know what the pasuk means? Kinida. She has the status like a nida. Just like a nida is forbidden, even ha'ara, the beginning of relations of cohabitation, so too, ishazach. Ask the Gemara 1 second. Mali ishazach shkin biyadei l'rabbos. Ishazach is unique, your brother's wife, that the brother has the ability to include people in this isser. This is an isser that every time that this brother marries a woman, she becomes forbidden. We have Reuven and Shimon, right? So every wife of Shimon is forbidden to Reuven. So if Shimon now is married to one wife, she's forbidden to Reuven. If Shimon marries a second wife, she's forbidden to Reuven. So this is an isser that has the ability to include many, many, many women. It's in his power. If he wants Mekadesh Vazal, he could go and marry 1,000 women. So it means that there's a high level isser over here because it's affected and could keep on growing and growing. So maybe we cannot learn out from here to other cases. So maybe here, because it's very chomer, that's why hara, that's why beginning of Tashmish is included. Ella says, you're right. Let's learn now from one's father's sister and one's mother's sister. Now, what does it say? Why? Ki as she'iroi ha'ara. Says the pasuk, your mother or your father's sister, you cannot uncover their nakedness, because it's she'iroi ha'ara, it's considered bearing your own flesh. But from the fact that the pasuk used the word ha'ara, shows us that even the beginning of Tashmish. So suggests the Gemara that just like achos av, achos im, the mother or the father's sister is forbidden, even the techila of Tashmish. So to all arayos, ask the Gemara, what do you mean? This is an isser which happens on its own. That it doesn't happen by birth. It happens by marriage. It's an isser haba me'ilav, that what makes this woman forbidden? The fact that she is married. And therefore, how can you learn out from other cases? Again, the father and the mother's sister, she is forbidden only, excuse me, I explained that incorrectly. Something didn't make sense. Achois av, achois im has nothing to do with marriage. The exact opposite of what I said. It's nothing to do with marriage. It's the sister of the father and the mother. So this sister is a natural occurring isser. One is a father, the sister is usher. One is a mother, the sister is usher. There's no marriage required for that. So suggests the Gemara maybe the reason why there it's usher ha'ara, the beginning of Tashmish, is because it's an isser that was created on its own. So maybe only arayos, forbidden relations that result on their own will be included, and not that which results from a marriage. So says the Gemara, after all these attempts of nida, achis av, achis im, ishes achav, leichado lo yasya, Tesi chadam itarti. We can't learn it out from one. Let's try learning it out from two. Mei tesi, which two? Tesi meishes ach v'achais av. Let's learn it out from a father's sister and a mother's sister. Excuse me, meishes ach, from the brother's wife, which again, let's remember was very chamer, because the brother could include as many people in the sister, and the father's sister and the mother's sister. Achais av, achais im. Says the Gemara 1 second. Malak ahanach sheini surin mishum she'er. These are all Yisurim because they're related. However, a regular case of Ishes Ish, which of course is an Arava, a married woman, maybe she's not included because she's not related to the one upon discussion. Says Gemara, fine. Attempt number 2. The combination of Nida, which of course is something that results nothing to do with the relationship, and the mother and the father's sister. Says the Gemara, no. Again, these are Yisurim that have nothing to do with marriage. They come on their own. So maybe we can only learn from two Yisurim that come on their own. Ella says the Gemara, Teisi mi Nida ve'ishes ach. So let's learn it out from Nida and Ishes ach, the brother's wife. So now we have both of them. We have something coming on its own, Nida, and a not related person. And Ishes ach, we have someone that's the brother's wife that comes through a marriage. The my perchis. How are you going to ask on this one? Says the Gemara, no big deal. The my perchis, excuse me. Says the Gemara, maskula ravacha, 4 lines from the bottom. These two are very chomer that they're never allowed in the lifetime of the one that made them aser. Taimer be'ishes ish ken yesh laheter b'chai oisra. Ishes ish does have heter. Give a get, and now she's mutter to the world. So Amar le'Rabachim midif to the Ravina. Atu nida ve'ishes av b'chai oisra mu de'in laheter. Aval acham ikan yesh laheter. What do you mean? You're telling me that they don't have a heter b'chai oisra? That's not true. Nida, as we turn over Tamid Beis, Nida biyoymet alamilsa. Nida has nothing to do with the person. As Rashi points out, even if the one dies, has nothing to do with that. It's biyoymet, it has to do with when she is a Nida. Ishazach, your brother's wife, similarly, bibanin tal yarachmanya. The whole sugya of Yevamos, the whole Yibum, his brother's wife. And it becomes mutter when there's no children. So says the Gemara, you're right, this is the kasha. The person that made it usher is not that which makes it mutter. Whereas, so says the Gemara, after trying 4 different singular attempts, 4 different multiple attempts, Ela Amar Rav Yoina V'Yitema Rav Huna B'Reid Rav Yeshua Amar Kra, 6 lines down, you know where we learned it out from. Kikol asher yasem mikol ha'toyevois. The Torah lists all the toyevois, all the arayis ha'ileh. Nuchsan ha'fashad ha'isen ha'okshem kol arayis kul ha'nida. Manida ba'arav kol be'ha'ara. So says the Gemara, Rav Yoina teaches us, Gezeiras ha'kasav mikol ha'toyevois to nida. And that is how we know that all arayis are forbidden be'ha'ara. Beautiful, and the Gemara sticks with this makar. So if we were to ask, what is the makar for ha'ara? That techilas tashmish, the mere insertion of the iver, is forbidden by all arayis. And as well will be kind of the yibum, is from where? Well, actually, I shouldn't say kind of the yibum. Is also by all arayis, is mikol lata'ivos. What's the question now? Now we have to go backwards. And now we have to say, wait, the Gemara in the bottom of Amud Aleph quoted numerous sources that showed us that ha'ara was forbidden. What were those psukim needed for? Says the Gemara, why did the Torah have to write the word nida by ishazach? We thought it was to equate ishazach to nida, that both of them are forbidden with ha'ara, but now that we're saying that mikol ato'ivos are included, why did the Torah have to write nida by ishazach? Says the Gemara, for a different reason. Where do we have a remez to the concept of Yibam in the Torah? Says Gemara, what do you mean where do we have a remez? It's explicit. And a remez the Yevamos asura b'chaye bayla mi'anayin. Where do we have a remez that the Yevamos is also while her husband is alive? And says Gemara, whoa, 1 second. You don't need a pasuk for that. The Torah says after the husband dies without children, then your mother. Says wait 1 second, maybe not. The Dilma Lachami says mitzvah. Maybe only after the husband dies, you have a mitzvah to marry this woman. While he's alive, maybe you're allowed to. And this is a havamina that we've already suggested numerous times. Inami Lachami says in maybe you're right. You would be able to learn out misvara that while the husband is alive is forbidden. But what level of isser would it be? It would be lava ba mechlala. It would be something that you learned out from a positive commandment. The positive commandment is to do yibam, and you learn out the negative commandment that you're not allowed to. Lava mechlala is an asay. So we wouldn't necessarily know that there is karis. So therefore, says the Gemara, Amar Kra, what's the remez? Is your brother's wife always a nida? So what do we learn out from this pasuk? Which originally, let's remind ourselves, we learned out from here. Ha'ara, we learned out from here. Tchilas bia now says Rav Huna, 2 lines into the white lines of Nundalat Amabis. Ela kinida, manida v'bi sheish la'atel achar mikan. Bishas Isuras Bikaris. We learn out the Isser from here. So beautiful. So why did I have to equate Nida to Ishazah? To teach you that your brother's wife is forbidden at the level of Krisus. Ask the Gemara further. We're really going through the stages that we said on the bottom of the Amid. Nida, Ishazah, your father and your mother's sister. Why did the Torah have to say nida over there? Lamali. You know why we needed it? For the kasha that Ravina asked Rava. Hama'ara bizachar mahu. What is the status if someone does a ha'ara tchilas bia with a zachar, two men together, mishkav zachar? Says the Gemara, bizachar, what's your question? Mishkavei isha ksiva. It says that if a man sleeps with a man in the form of a man sleeping with a woman, thereby equating the forbidden relationship between man and man to man and woman. So of course, a man and woman is tchilas ha'ara, is the beginning of tashmish. So to man with man. Ella says, no, you know what the kasha is? Where do we know that the beginning of tashmish with an animal is forbidden? The Torah lists the father and the mother's sister, equating it to Anida, that the beginning of tashmish is forbidden. Excuse me, I said that wrong. The Torah listed that the father and the mother's sister, and used the word ha'ara, that the beginning of tashmish is forbidden, which we do not need that pasuk. Why not? Because the Torah said mikol atoyevos, and all arayis are forbidden with the beginning of tashmish. So why did the pasuk say ara by father and mother sister? You know why? We don't need it over there. Dasi mekisha midrav yonah, like we just said in mikol atoyevos. So tenu inyan ara debehema, put it into the pasuk of to answer the question of what's the status of ara by an animal, and therefore ara by animal is going to be forbidden. Ask the Gemara 1 second. If someone has relations with an animal bestiality, it's a misas bezdin, a very high level isser. My time aksiva ara ledida gabi chavi krisos lichtav gabi gabi misas bezdin menelef misas bezdin. Says the Gemara, why did the Torah write this word ha'ara by father and mother sister, which is what? The level of krisos, and thereby learn out something to bestiality, which level of Misas Bezdin, that's a higher level Isser. We should have written Ara by Misas Bezdin. Answers the Gemara, since that entire pasuk, as we'll see in a moment, of Achisav and Achisim, the entire pasuk is there for a drasha, this part is as well. My drasha. What is the drasha we learn off from this pasuk? The Tanya we learned in Abraisa, not revealed the nakedness of your father or sister. Bein mina'av, bein mina'im. And we learn out that what level father or sister, whether it's your father or sister from your father, or whether it's a paternal or maternal sister, we'll say it to say simply. Maybe it's only a sister from your father. And says the Gemara V'dinu, it makes a lot of sense. There's an isser here, you're obligated, and you're obligated from relations with one sister. Just like one sister, so too here, it should also be father or maternal or paternal. We're not sure. This is obligated, and as well, you're obligated with Daidasa, your father's brother's wife. So we're not sure the relation between one's parent's sister, is that a paternal sister or a maternal sister? Is that the father's sister or the mother's sister as well? And we're not sure, do we equate it to one's own sister? One's own sister is forbidden whether it's maternal or paternal. Or do we equate it to daidasai, one's father's brother's wife, which is only maternally forbidden? Nira lemi daina. What should we learn it out from? So Danin Isra Ba Me'ilav, Isra Ba Me'ilav. We learn it out from sister, which is an Isra that happens on its own. And don't ask from Daidasa, father's brother, sister, Shein Isra Ba Me'ilav. That doesn't happen on its own. It only happened the father's brother's I keep saying father's brother's sister. It makes no sense. Father's brother's wife. Or maybe not. So we don't know which way to go about this. Learning on Achais Av. So that's what this pasuk teaches us. Therefore, that is where the entire pasuk is needed for a drasha. And since the entire pasuk is needed for a drasha, and therefore, says the Gemara, we'll also learn out that an animal's relation is also as well, and we'll pick it up from Lamli Lemichtav Achayzav Mir Tashem.